Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the AVPN webinar on Insights and Consideration for Investing in Climate Responsible Water Solutions, where we will be bringing in the industry and the investor perspective. My name is Prachi Seth, and I lead the work on Climate Action Platform here at AVPN. For those of you who do not know about AVPN, we are a network of funders and resource providers with over 600 members across 32 markets. Our mandate is to move more capital towards impact in Asia by providing social investors an opportunity to connect, learn, and lead. In terms of our member base, we believe in breaking silos and work with social investors across the continuum of capital, such as family offices, corporates, impact funds, DFIs, intermediaries, government agencies, etc., towards a common cause. AVPN's Climate Action Platform was launched last year at the AVPN's conference, and we work with over 200 members whose focus is on climate. The overall vision for the Climate Action Platform is to unlock capital in a more targeted and effective manner into climate solutions through catalyzing local, international, public, and private investors to address challenges and to drive capital into climate action. The platform engages with climate leaders and potential investors to find new and impactful ways to move capital, such as human, intellectual, and financial. We also share best practices, experiences, insights, and solutions through our website, webinars, roundtables, and events on climate around the year. Today's session, for instance, is one such example where we are bringing in industry specialists and investors working at the nexus of climate and water, which is, again, the need of the hour. Another important pillar of Climate Action Platform that I would like to talk about is the Deal Share platform. So we collaborate with AVPN members to curate and display transformational solutions to the climate challenge, which is essentially, again, the need of the hour to help build back better and into greener sort of economy as well. Just to give you a context, in the last year or so, we've been able to curate many climate solutions. We've been able to engage with over 250 organizations through our climate events and have published many knowledge and insights onto our platform. So all written by our members and staff. So the last slide highlights some of the events we have conducted on climate and the members that we have been able to engage with. But again, this is not enough, and we need to do more. So please, I'll share my details on the chat in the chat box for you to get in touch with me if you'd like to know more about the platform. And now with this, I'd like to pass the mic to Annelies Schneck. She's the Executive Director of WaterSpark, who will be moderating this session today. Annelies.
Thank you, Prachi. Thank you for having us. I'm very honored to be here and also very happy that water gets this central role at the AVPN platform because water is that central point to flattening the climate curve. So I'm happy we are amongst some great speakers from the industry who are really focused and have sustainability at the core, at the heart of their business, and an investment company to explain more about which innovations are out there to reduce water use. So the first speaker of today will be Libin Song. She's the head of China and lead analyst of PureTerra Ventures. And PureTerra is a fully focused water investment company. Libin, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Annelies. And also, I would like to thank AVPN for giving us the opportunity today to bring a spotlight on this heavily underrated crisis that all human beings are now facing, water. So, yeah, everybody has been talking about climate change, global warming. I mean, these are good and important topics. But I mean, water being a critical element of all these elemental topics have been long covered invisibly under the bigger themes. So it has received far less attention than it should have, and so little effort has been done to solve it that when the United Nations were going through the 17 SDG targets earlier this year, SDG 6, water and sanitation, pops up as the only one that has gone alarmingly off track. So now the United Nations have to implement some new initiatives to solve this crisis. So today in my presentation, I'd like to present to you with the water crisis we are facing now and how we see from Qtera's perspective that this can be solved, showcasing our methodology with case studies. And also I hope this can raise more awareness of water and unlock more power to solve this problem together. Now let's move to the next slide. Okay, so let's first look at the water problem told by statistics. Now, although our planet is covered mostly by water, but only 0.4% of that is actually accessible for human consumption. And even this 0.4% is now heavily discounted by misuse, loss, and pollution brought by human activities. But if I look at the demand side, we are facing with ever increasing water demand required by the fast population growth and urbanization, industrialization. So if we look further into the future, by year 2030, we will see a severe imbalance between demand and supply by 40%. And this imbalance cannot be met via incumbent solutions, which means the business euro will just not be enough anymore, and it calls for more disruptive water innovations to meet the gap. So that's why we think besides philanthropy, venture capital fund is also required to solve water crisis, and this has to be strategic money that can unlock more resources in water. Traditional VC method in this scenario just won't suffice. Now, next one. So based on the third-party calculation to meet the supply-demand gap, we will need 200 billion US dollar investment and 10 times increase in the private equity investment in water by 2030, and 11.7 trillion of water infrastructure investment as well. So Qtera was born with a mission to activate capital for water, unlock value of early stage innovations, which can eventually help all humans solve our water crisis. Next slide. As an early mover in water VC sector, Qtera strongly believes that to succeed in water, we need smart money with industrial knowledge, upstream, downstream connections, and valuable partners to help a good innovation successfully scale up, achieving its potential to create social impact and at the same time creating reasonable return for our LPs. So by connecting resources in water, we can create success together with entrepreneurs rather than just betting on it. Next slide. So in the past 3 years, we have built an incredible network in water, including upstream, downstream players, incubators and accelerators, consulting firms, technical and commercial professionals, etc. Surrounded ourselves with the best people and strongest platforms in water. And this gives our portfolio companies a highly valuable competitive edge in their commercialization. A lot of times we see companies fail not because of what they don't know, but who they don't know. So our network can help them open the doors to the right people. Next slide. Also, thanks to the strong partnerships, we have now accumulated the largest water innovation database, including over 5,000 companies. And these will go through the due diligence process internally by our analyst team. And out of that, we have now invested in 2 companies. Next one, please. So here in this slide, I would like to show you our focus sectors along the water cycle. And for the interest of time today, I won't be able to go through each of these in details, but you can read this on the screen, and I'm happy to discuss more after the session, of course. So basically, our core criteria are mainly twofold. One is whether this sector is ready to be disrupted, meaning there is a clear pinpoint that needs to be solved with a large market potential, and also we see already there are possible solutions on the market. Second is how much impact we can create by investing in this sector. Is it really solving a problem that can heal the wound rather than just stop the blood bleeding? Now, a case in point for that is the industrial wastewater treatment sector, which we think is the root of a lot of water pollution related problems. If we can really treat the industrial wastewater well before we discharge it, then a lot of the follow-up remedies just won't be needed anymore. And that's what we mean by healing the wound rather than stopping the blood bleeding. Next one, please. So let's take a closer look into the industrial water. The key pain points now in this sector is the tighter regulation standard, emerging contaminants, and the sludge management. So these are also leading direction for PureTerra when we look for technologies on the market who can help solve these pain points, have a better chance to create bigger impact and also yield better financial return. On the right side of the slide, I've listed some of the interesting technologies we have identified in this sector. For example, membrane is in our focus, and also emerging NBR and ABR technologies, electrochemical treatment, and new materials, just for a few examples here. These are all very interesting to us. And now in our pipeline, we have identified over 500 promising innovations that translates into over 200 million euro investment opportunities in industrial water. Next one, please. Yeah, another highly interesting sector for us is agricultural water. Since agriculture takes up basically 70% of the entire water consumption, any innovation that can help farmers reduce their water consumption will have a huge impact. So the main pain points facing this sector now is the inefficient watering and chemical dosing, which either lead to wasted water and chemicals or decreased yield. So another highly discussed topic is on the recycle side, how we can recycle the valuable resources and energy from the agriculture waste for good purpose. Now, based on this, we have chosen some focus topics in agriculture, for example, precise irrigation, wastewater treatment, and also resource recovery. So far, we have identified around 60 qualified innovations, which justifies a 50 million euro agriculture investment opportunity in our pipeline. Next one, please. Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, now we have invested in two technologies. Our first investment is ZeroHelix. And this is a technology that is a brand new ceramic nanofiltration membrane, which can achieve much smaller pore size than current ceramic membranes and much stronger and more durable than the polymer ones. So this membrane is going to be disruptive for water industry, replacing the current multi-step process with one single nanofiltration process, thus helping to save tons of energy and chemicals in the process for the plants, and also will save the water consumption by enabling this wastewater treatment, wastewater reuse. Now the plants basically don't need to fetch fresh water from the water bodies for their industrial process as often as they used to, but simply they can use the wastewater treated internally by ZeroHelix membrane for their process. So there will be just much less water extraction from the nature. The second technology is Rubix. That's a sensor platform that can identify different types of odors via their unique algorithm. Now, an important application of that is helping the wastewater plant identify the pollutants and their source. And this can help the wastewater plant better manage their process, leading to a more efficient operation. And this technology, by the way, has diversified applications beyond just water, including, for example, transportation, smart home, and health monitoring as well. So in general, since our investment, both of these two companies have gained greater commercial traction and have landed orders via our network. And we have helped them improve their product development and upgrade the commercial strategy, opening doors for them to the right people. So far, we are happy with their development, and we will keep helping their development with all our resources in PureTerra. Now, last slide. Okay. Last but never the least, as I've been talking about multiple times in today's presentation, I think only money is not enough to solve the water crisis today, not anymore. So let alone that with PureTerra only, there will be very limited money we can activate and maneuver in water industry. So we need to unlock more resources and make a joint effort. Now, with that idea in mind, we supported the establishment of WaterSpark, that is a non-profit coalition with a global mission to address the water crisis through awareness, education, and support, and also finance of innovations in water. And WaterSpark brings together basically people and business and different organizations, thus unlocking a much larger energy than PureTerra itself in water sector, catalyzing the investment solutions to avert our water challenges globally. So PureTerra, we do believe that this incredible network through WaterSpark will give all of us a better chance to win the battle of water crisis. That's it for my presentation, and thank you all.
Thank you, Libben. I think a very interesting presentation where it shows that innovation is needed to solve the water crisis. And I, of course, will elaborate on WaterSpark a little bit more later. But first, we have two very interesting companies with us who are basically water users. As we know, climate impact and competition will, for water, affect different sectors. Such as agriculture, steel, and consequently, companies have water risk. And how do they deal with that? And how do they have a sustainability strategy, including water? We are honored that two companies are willing to share their sustainability strategy with us. First, it will be GSW. We have, sorry for the pronunciation, Praboda Agaraya, the Chief Sustainability Officer of GSW Group, which is a conglomerate of companies of steel, energy, cement, infrastructure. And we would like to hear from you what the sustainability strategy is of GSW Group. I give the floor to you.
Thank you, Annalise, for that generous introductions, and good afternoon to all of you. I would like to first thank AVPN for inviting JSW to speak in this webinar and provide insights towards climate responsible water solutions from an industrial user perspective. The nexus between climate change and its impacts on water is very well known and re-emphasized by my previous speaker, Levin. We in JSW having our major operations in India, a country having very high water stress, and this is being compounded by impacts of climate change due to unpredictable monsoons, depleting water resource, increasing heat, etc. We very well realize the importance of having prudent water management. And the picture, what you see here in my slide, is basically an artificial water reservoir that we have created, having a capacity of 35 million meter cube. That is presented at one of the largest steel mill in India. And this is made to cater to the emergency water demand of the facilities and communities around for about 120 days. And besides being used for rainwater harvesting. Please remind that we are sourcing water from two rivers located at 38 kilometers and as long as 170 kilometers away from the facility. So it's a precious resource and we need to be very careful. But before I go towards what we are doing on water management, let me introduce our group, that is JSW, to you. Next slide, please. JSW is among the leading conglomerate in India, is a group of around $12 billion dollar company. This is an integral part of the OP Jindal Group and has been a part of all major projects that have played a key role in growth of India. This is ranked among India's top business house. JSW's innovative and sustainable ideas cater to the core sector. If you see, we operate in steel, energy, cement, infrastructure, and recently into paints. Besides, we have a venture, we have a sports, and also our foundations, which takes care of this. That is the social development arm, which takes care of the CSR work. From its humble beginning in steel, the JSW Group has expanded its presence now to Europe, South America, US, and UAE recently. We are very well known to be the strategic fast mover to venture away from the status quo. We have the conviction to make fundamental changes and drive operational excellence, and that's our tagline is better every day. That's about JSW Group. Thank you. Next slide, please. Uh, when we talk about water related issues and how do we manage, let me introduce our sustainability vision at JSW, that we are able both now and in future to demonstratively contribute in a socially, ethically, and environmentally responsible way to the development of a society where the needs of all are met, and to do so in a manner that does not compromise the ability of those that come after us to meet their own needs. And our vision is supported with a sustainability framework, and that's based on 17 focus areas across ESG facets. And these has been identified after studying the magnitude of impact and the level of contribution we make to each one of them. And all our sustainability interventions broadly fall under these focus areas, and each one of them is underlined with an official policy. And to give an example, I have highlighted here, to remain focused on water resources, we have developed two policies which focus on water resource management and also on wastewater management. As and our focus has always been how we can carefully source the water, use innovations for the efficient use of the water, so that we do not we reduce our dependency on the fresh water, and that is always has been our focus at the policy level. Please go to the next slide. Now, having a policy in pursuance of our sustainability roadmaps towards a green steel, cleaner power, and greener cement, we have embarked on a 10-year journey beginning this FY20 and adopted a number of targets for achievement across the group by 2030. In the screen, you can see we have specifically, I have highlighted this target which is driven from the policies in three key sectors. For example, in JSW Steel, our target is to achieve a specific water consumption to the level of 2.41 meter cube per TCS, that is ton of crude steel, by end of this decade. Our current water consumption is at the level of 2.6 scale. So I just want to remind here that at the current level of specific water consumptions, we have already achieved one of the best operating iron and steel facilities in terms of water efficiency. So the task is tough, we understand that. Similarly, if you look at our energy business, we want to reduce our water footprint by 50%, and the cement business, we would like to be water positive. Our focus in energy has been to go from thermal to renewables and thereby reduce on the dependence on the water. Always our objective across our business remain to become zero liquid discharge, that we have achieved in most of our operations, and we like to continue those. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Now, having talked about the policy and then target, let me talk about the strategy. Our strategy is very simple. This is based on try not to waste a single drop of water. And to do that, the first step is to monitor and measure what we consume and discharge, and therefore have adopted an extensive instrumentations to measure and monitor our water usage. As the saying goes, if you cannot measure something, you cannot understand it. And if you cannot understand it, you cannot control it. If you cannot control it, you cannot improve it. So that has been our principle of measuring and monitoring. And some of our notable interventions undertaken so far are aligned to the policy objective in order to achieve intended outcomes of more vigilant and efficient utilization of water within the process, and therefore substantial reduction in water consumptions. And these some of the list I have given in the screen, you can see. We tried to find opportunity to eliminate use of water by changing the process. One of the example in the second bullet, if you see that we have converted from coke dry quenching to the coke wet quenching to the dry quenching. And having said that, let me give two specific examples where we have tried to use the process water or wastewater they call for high quality process requirement to be used within the process. And that helped us in achieving our zero liquid discharge status. Next slide, please. The fast interventions, what you see, if you look at the picture down below, the black color waste what you see is the wastewater we treat, and the final product what you could see in the last is crystal clear. And this is done in our coke ovens. What happens in coal is converted into coke in the coke ovens, and a large quantity of water is used mainly for quenching the hot coke and washing of gas. And the effluent generated from this process contain high suspended solids, high BOD, high COD, phenols, ammonia, and other toxic gases like cyanide and thiocyanide. And this causes serious water pollution problem. So to have this problem sorted, we thought of having an integrated solution. First of all, we have reduced the quantity of such effluent generations by converting from wet quenching to dry quenching. That is the first thing we did, as I stated. The remaining wastewater are being treated in a series of physicochemical aerobic process to reduce its suspended solids, BOD, COD, all cyanides and ammonia. After which the effluents are further treated with a membrane bioreactor followed by reverse osmosis. And this treated water are used for industrial applications within our facility, and that saves around 4,000 metric cube a day for fresh water, and all the RO rejects get evaporated. And this is something achieved first time in a steel sector of the comparable size of operations. This is an example of highly polluted industrial wastewater being treated and reused for high quality industrial applications. Let me go on to the next example. If you can go to the next slide, please. This is again another example where we use sewage water for industrial applications. And since last February 2018, in our Vijayanagar steel plant, we have been successfully subjecting the low-grade sewage water, which earlier is to treated and then discharged, to get further treated by using membrane bioreactor and again reverse osmosis, and that goes for the cold rolling mill applications. And the process, we not only reduce the freshwater consumption by around 3,800 metric cube per day, we also reduce a lot of power consumptions and CO2 emissions. And this gives a total cost saving of almost 21 million Indian rupees per year. And with this success, now we are talking to nearby municipality authorities to get their all untreated and treated sewage water and then treat it in our plant and then use that in our process. And that will significantly reduce some of our freshwater requirement in the process. And these are the two examples. There are a number of examples. I thought to highlight these two examples where we are applying innovations to drive less water consumption, at the same time manage our wastewater pollutions. Now let me turn to the interventions what we are doing outside our operations, we call out of the fence. So if you can go to the next slide, please. And these activities are mostly done by our JSW Foundations, which is a CSR arm, and they are working towards not only mitigating adverse effect of climate change by bringing in innovative technology-based solutions that to ensure clean villages nearby where we are operating. We are conserving, augmenting water in the area in the watershed, promoting biodiversity, sanitary living conditions, and thereby supporting sustainable livelihood in the area wherever we are operating. Our ethos has always been work with the society. And the key drivers to achieve these are strategic partnership, promotion of effective water management practices, and strengthening community level institutions. It's very important that how we bring in community into the solutions, and we work with different agencies across India and outside. And some of the key interventions that we have done in augmenting water resources that I've highlighted in the slides, you can see that we have helped in restoration of conventional water sources, and that helps in reviving natural water bodies to facilitate not only water availability, also in soil and water conservations. Around 3.9 million metric cube of water, additional net water storage capacity has been created. We are working with the local governments, and we are working to ensure that decentralized waste units are constructed in villages around, and therefore it ensures water supplies and water availability to their need, including agricultural need, because that's where industries doesn't focus. And we are planning to further augment these through a scientific water risk assessment in the catchment where we are operating, and that is where currently we are working with Confederation of Indian Industry, that CII, and they have a scan called they have a tool called WaterScan that we have started using in one of the unit and found that is very useful, which helps us finding areas where we can further focus to improve the water conservation activities. So with that, I will stop here and wait for any questions coming, and happy to discuss any of the solutions where we are working. And most importantly, I will try to highlight here, we understand alone we cannot solve the issues what not only the industry, the entire humanity is facing. I'll reiterate what Levin told just before. We are looking at right collaborations to work with all these organizations so that we become a part to the solutions instead of considered or seen as a problem creator. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We can definitely not do this alone as an industry company, but I do feel that industry players like yourself are crucial. They're crucial stakeholders because you show also with your presentation that inside the fence and outside the fence, you're investing in water, not literally like Pureterra does it. You invest in those innovative technologies to adopt them, and then with that you will make an incredible impact on water. I think we've seen a great example, but we will have another great example in the industry that uses water the most, agriculture. I'm happy that I can introduce the company UPL with global commercial lead Marine Moi Choudhury. Sorry if I don't pronounce it right.
No worries.
I think again a great example of the sustainability approach, ESG, and the social arm, and tying that together and focusing on water at the heart of the company. So I will give the floor to you to show what you.
All right, so thank you, Annalise, and good morning and good afternoon to everyone, wherever you are in the world right now. Maybe very early morning for someone also. So, let me just take you through what Libin had said a couple of minutes back, that out of the 2.5% of fresh water that is available for humanity, we believe that almost about 80-85% of it is used in agriculture. So it is imperative nowadays that agriculture uses the water more efficiently than what used to be done a couple of years, maybe a decades back. And we being at UPL are very fortunate because we have been serving this industry. We have been working with the farmers globally for the last 50 years, and we believe that we can make a direct impact on the water consumption on the farm with some of the technologies that we have. So next slide, please. So I just give you a brief introduction of who UPL is. Prachi, next slide. Yeah. So if you can see, we are one of the big agricultural input companies in the world. We have almost about 40 plus years of existence. We are a global company, headquartered out of Bombay, but we are present in almost all the countries that you can think of. There is a joke which goes on to say that if there is a country which doesn't have an Indian consulate, you might have a UPL representative office there. So you can go and check it out if you have any problems. So that's a joke that goes on around in a company like this in UPL. So this is all about us. We are a US $4.7 billion company, and we are present almost in all the countries in the world. Next slide, please. This is our core business. We are into the business of seeds. We are into the business of crop protections. We are into this very exciting business, which we call it plant stress and simulations. We are also in the business of post-harvest technologies. So like if you are from India, you must have seen all those big cold storages which stores the potatoes. And whatever treatment of the potatoes are being done to improve the storability, and which is now moving more towards the biological side, we are the #1 player in this space. One of the most interesting technology that we have just started, and which I'll talk about it today in a little bit depth, is around the soil and water technologies. And that is where we believe that we are in a process to directly impact the consumption of water on the farms. So the next slide. So then what's our purpose? Just a couple of things. We think we call ourselves to be an open ag company. We say that we do not have any limits or any borders when it comes to an agricultural network, when it comes to a collaboration. We are open to all kind of collaboration in all geographies across the world. So that's why we call it an open ag. Next slide, please. Then our vision is open ag, and our mission, and which is the most important thing, is to make every single food products that we consume, and those food products should be produced in a more sustainable way. And sustainability have got different meaning for different countries, geographies, regions, people. But we try to adhere to the broader goals of sustainability, which is all about producing the food commodities, producing the agricultural commodities, using less and less of the natural resources like water. So that's our core mission. Next slide, please. This is more from our industrial side, because if you remember, we have got 44 manufacturing facilities. So this is more from that side. So there are some of the measurable matrices that we talked about, which is more around the ESG ratings and all. If somebody have any questions, maybe we can take this later on, but it's just to give you a brief snapshot from what we are doing from the industrial side of our operations. But I will talk more about the farm facing side. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is one technology which we are very proud of. We have introduced this technology a couple of years back. The brand name of this technology, which is just one one product that has just come to the marketplace. There is a slew of innovations that is centered around this technology. We call it, the brand name is called Zeba. And this is all about using water more efficiently on the farm. Because whenever you talk about water, there are a couple of things we should all remember. That we should be thankful to Mother, our nature, God, that they gives us plentiful water. Even today, when people talk about less water, we think that what has really happened is that the exact quantum of rain that falls on Mother Earth has not changed dramatically. But what has changed dramatically is the distribution of the rainfall pattern. And that's why it is creating such a big imbalances. And so you have the rain god, which gives us water. Then you have human interventions around how to store the water. Then you have human interventions around how do you take the water to the field. And the biggest losses of water does definitely take place in the field where agriculture goes on. And that is where we feel that we can create the biggest impact on using water more efficiently. And this is one technology. Here we have got a slew of technology coming up, but this is one technology which we have found that across multiple scenarios, we are finding a very big impact it is creating on the agricultural fields, where we are able to produce the same quantity of agricultural output, maybe even more, by using almost about 20, by reducing the water consumption by almost about 20 to 25% on farm. So these are exciting new things, which we are trying to share it across many different geographies in the world, and we are getting a fantastic response on this. Next slide, please. And then we have what we call it the Sustainable Solution Technology Platform. And please don't go into the whole technical details around this, but this slide, this technology platform is something which will help us grow agricultural foods, the agricultural commodities, using less and less of crop protection chemicals, which is the norm. But where, starting off with Europe, you must have all heard about the Green Deal in Europe, where they are talking about making 25% of their agricultural commodities being grown in an organic way. They are talking about 30% reduction in fertilizer consumption, 50% reduction in, or 30% reduction in water consumption. With this bouquet of technology that we have around the sustainable solution space, we believe that we are at UPL, we are well positioned to take on those responsibilities for the humanity. Next slide, please. Then this is just one brief example. I'm just giving an example from Portugal, where if you look at this slide, we are talking about using this Zeba technology and growing almost the same quantity of potatoes like the control one here, using almost 25% less water. And this is just one example I've quoted, but yes, we have got multiple examples like this. Next slide, please. So if somebody is from the Latin American part of the world, we all know that Mexico is one of the biggest exporter of fruits and vegetables from those part of the world, primarily to US and to Europe. And because of a big concern from the consumers and the food value chain companies, where a big stress is being done is given on the residual levels on the fruits and vegetables being exported. So we are running a very successful program, which we call it a Pasporte Verde, which is a green passport, and which basically works with a lot of importers and a lot of farmers to grow fruits and vegetables using less and less of agricultural chemicals. So that's a fantastic example that we have from that part of the world. Next slide, please. If there is somebody in the audience who is from, say, a Cadbury's or maybe some of those big food companies who uses a lot of coca in their products. So as we all know, the Western African part of the world, the Mali, Cameroon, and Ivory Coast of the world, they produce some of the biggest quantity of coca in the world. And we work a lot with growers and some of our development partners in there, where we are talking about using a lot of our biosolutions portfolio to help the West African coca producers grow more coca using the same piece of land and same amount of water. So that's a fantastic approach that we have taken out there. Next slide. Yeah, and this is from India. So as we all know that in India, because of the fragmented size of our farm, we have a lot of small farmers. So what we are trying to do is on the farm mechanization side, we are trying to aggregate the whole thing. So what we are basically telling the farmer is that you give us the burden of preparing your land, sowing the crop, spraying for the different chemicals or biological solutions to us. So basically we take over the service part of the farm from the farmers. So this is something that we have scaled up extensively in the northern part of the country. And now we are scaling up to the rest of the country also. Today, we are pleased to announce that we have got close to about 10 million acres where we provide this kind of a service to the growers in this country. Next slide, please. And so these are the farmers from across the world who are the true heroes of our story. And this slide just shows us that our commitment is to the farmers across the world. It's not only from India, though we are a company headquartered out of India, but we are a truly multinational company where about 80–85% of our business comes out of India. Next slide, please. And this is something we are so proud about. We have just signed off an agreement with the FIFA foundations, and we will be working very closely with the FIFA foundations on two big initiatives. One is on the carbon farming, where we are talking about how we can capture carbon in the soil, the carbon sequestration that you all talked about, you all hear about, and specifically working with the smallholder farmer in the developing part of the world. So how we can do that. And then there is another program, which we call it the Football for School program, which is primarily being designed for some 30 rural schools in rural Brazil. So these are the two things that we have just signed off just about a month back, and we are in the process of working out the execution of this big two initiatives that we'll be rolling it out. Next slide. And finally, if there is anybody in the audience who would really like to work on sustainable agricultural practices on the farm, please reach out to us. We would be very, very glad to work with you to really produce food in a more sustainable manner. So we are there. We are the one-stop shop. You can tell if you guys are interested in working with an organizations who will help you to realize your dream of producing foods in a more sustainable manner. So thank you so much. This is from my side, Prachi. I hope I'm within 10 minutes, Annalise.
Thank you so much. I think it was a great example of water is a global issue, and with local initiatives, we can create a lot of impact together. I think a lot of the elements that UPL addressed are coming back in the WaterSpark initiative. Libin already addressed it briefly. I will elaborate a little bit more on it. The WaterSpark initiative is a global coalition to identify, fund, and increase adaptation of innovative water solutions. So our focus is really on accelerating those solutions that are out there, but need to be empowered in order to be part of the big problem, the big water problem. I think the presentations that we just saw shows that innovation is needed. And as a coalition, we feel that we need to do something different. There's a lot of initiatives, there's a lot of programs, there's a lot of trade shows, accelerator programs, but we need to change this mindset in order to really achieve SDG 6, and that's what the WaterSpark initiative and coalition is all about. Therefore, we work together in a collaboration with those water leaders out there that work in the innovative water ecosystem. For example, Pure Terra Ventures is one of those core partners, but also a company, IL Utilities. And together we centralize our knowledge. And the biggest asset maybe is that knowledge and deal flow database of innovative solutions. And as also Libin said, it's most of the time not what you know, but who you know. So we are willing to bring our network. The partners that you again saw in the Pure Terra presentations are those very important partners that you want to provide to those solutions. We chose a strategy with 4 pillars, and those pillars are unlocking capital, accelerating innovations, awareness, and education. Unlocking capital is as AVPN does it. We want to unlock capital towards water. It's not enough investing in it, but we also need to have capital for programs that can really commercialize those innovations. We want to also use capital for education programs together with partners. I would love to work with UPL on the FIFA football program because we really believe that you need to educate from the young, the public, the general public, the youth, the young professionals, the next leaders, basically. And that at the same time is creating awareness. I can be sometimes jealous as on plastic, how that topic is top of mind for everyone at the moment, where water is, if I'm being blunt, it is a bigger problem. So therefore, those 4 pillars. Next slide, please. And WaterSpark, to demonstrate some concrete examples of action, we're working together with those accelerators out there to showcase innovations, to bring them to investors and the potential clients. And we do this not only inside the water sphere, but also outside the water sphere, because it's maybe even more important that we address this topic within industries, within the agriculture industry, within the textile industry, that we bring that knowledge to those industries. We share our insights, we share our know-how, we will provide grants and funding. One picture that I don't see myself is we centralize the deal flow, and we involve the youth, the young professionals. We use influencers nowadays. I feel that if someone with 100 million followers will say something about water, this can have such an impact. And we want to work similar to UPL together with corporates, with brands, on creating programs related to sports, so that it becomes more addressed amongst the regular public. This was in short WaterSpark. I saw that there's a lot of questions. I have some myself, but we will start with, oh, sorry, I forget something, sorry. We can skip the poll. Are we going to skip the poll, or? We prepared a poll, and will we skip it, or what is the? Not sure.
And then let's just go with the Q&A.
We're going with the Q&A. We're going with the Q&A, and I saw one question in the Q&A that I actually wrote down myself. So I will start with that one. Research shows that corporates adaptation of innovation needs C-level buy-in. It seems that both UPL and GSW have this. How have you managed to pull this off? How can you elaborate a little bit more on that? I give first the word to GSW.
Thank you, Annalise, for that. Okay, something is going on. Right. Thanks, Annalise, for the question. As an industrial operator, for us, water is a critical resource for our productions. If you look at our energy business, where thermal energy business, that become a raw material. And in our steel operations, this is a critical resource for us to able to operate. So therefore, it is always has drawn very importance in the boardrooms and in the top level. And that is the reason why I stated that we have adopted specific policies towards water and wastewater, so that we remain focused. So from policy, we drive objective and target. From that, we have set KPIs at each level, including right from director level to the operational level. Everywhere we have set KPIs related to water and wastewater. And that is how it is being driven throughout the organizations to remain focused to manage the water resources as carefully as possible. So one of the key way how we drive is through setting KPIs. The other one is regular coaching and educations, because unfortunately water is a resource which is not really being priced at its cost. And that's one of the possibly areas where everybody need to look at and see what real cost of water is. And once people, specifically we in business, we love to see everything in a, in a financial term, and that drives the business well. So we are trying to put prices, we have not yet finalized, but we are working towards whether we can add social cost to the water and then realize the importance, and we have drive down. But at the moment, it is being driven mostly through setting right KPIs, monitoring this regularly, training and educations.
But it's we can tell that both companies have it at the heart of their core business. Marine Moy, can you explain, can you explain how this is being also on sea level being you have buy-in?
See, it's not a question of buy-in from the sea level. Let us put it this way: water for us is the very existence of this industry, right?
Yeah.
Because if we see, and that's what I was telling in the very beginning, that it's not a question of quantum of water, it's a question of distribution of water. And distribution of water will play a very important role in the overall productivity of this industry, right? So it's not a question of a sea level having an interest or not, it's a question of our existence. And if it is a question of our existence, then the industry per se have to move and align towards that. Now let's take an example of your own country, Netherlands. Did you ever realize that Netherlands will ever face a problem with water? But think about what happened in the month of March and April this year, or even March and April and May of last year. Look at the kind of extended dry period that Netherlands experienced, right? We all talk about Netherlands being a country under the sea level, right? But what has happened in those 3 critical months where agricultural operations, and Netherlands, by the way, is one of the biggest exporter of food.
Yeah.
No?
Of water, yeah.
In those 3 months, which is the most critical month for agriculture in Netherlands, you do not have rain. So then if the farmers in Netherlands will experience a drop in their productivity, loss of their income, it is going to impact the farmer, it is going to impact the country, but also think about the impact it is going to create on companies like UPL. So we don't have a choice. So it's not a question of sea level or anybody below the sea level. It's a question of our existence, and we will have to tackle this crisis head on. And that's one of the big reasons why the promoters behind UPL, the whole entity behind UPL, they have made a conscious decision that over the next 5 to 10 years, the contribution of water technologies, the sustainable solution technology will have to go to at least 30 to 40% of the business. Today it is at around 10 to 12%, but it has to go to almost half of the business. So that's the kind of commitment we have towards it, and water plays a central role here.
Thank you for this. I think it's clear that we have 2 best practices basically where water is critical. We do see, of course, that a lot of corporates have water is not costing as much as it should be, and therefore it's not for everyone at the core of their business yet. And we hope to influence that over the years. I just heard that I have one more question that I can ask, so I will ask that question to Libben, more on an investment view. Let me see. I see the question that commercial solutions, can there be also market return? I would say yes, but can you elaborate a little bit more, Libben, on some of the critical game-changing solutions that you feel are will resolve the crisis? What is the focus? What are you looking at?
So just give me a sec to.
I think to answer one of the questions of myself is all the PureTerra solutions are commercial solutions, and they will have a market return, but it is a finance and impact related company. So it's finance first and impact first. Lillian, are you back?
Yes, thank you. So basically in Pure, we believe to chase the impact investment doesn't really mean to sacrifice the financial return. So we definitely need to make sure that in our due diligence process. Usually when we look at a technology, for example, we will not only look at the uniqueness or how innovative this technology is, but also look at the commercial side of it, how much the market potential for that technology is, and how commercially ready it is for the venture capital investment. So to answer the question in short sentence, yes, we guarantee a commercial return besides the impact creating purpose. And Annalise, I believe there's a second part of this question besides the commercialization.
The game-changing solutions, which one do you really focus on and are critical to solve the water problem?
I think it's really it's a fair question to ask, but it's also a question hard to get the answer in, for example, 5 minutes today. So, because we are facing with a lot of different problems in water, and that needs different solutions to solve each of those. So it's really hard for me to say there is a certain innovation or solution that can solve all those questions. But we do have a focus internally for PureTerra, that is the industrial wastewater, like I mentioned briefly in the presentation, because that's where we see most of the pollution comes from, the industrial wastewater side. And also I would to mention the agriculture as well, because agriculture is the largest consumer for water now. If some technology can save the water consumption for agriculture, then that's a huge impact created there already. So
I think we're going to leave it at that, because we are already running out of time. I quickly want to summarize this webinar in 1 or 2 sentences. I believe that this webinar showed that investing, the bigger word investing in water innovations is very important. I think the corporates need to transform their water strategy and identify and invest in activities that create the brand value for the company, but drive innovation and technology at the same time. And with that, create business value and impact, environmental impact. That's what we basically wanted to address over this last hour. I think all of us are more than happy to answer all of your questions after this session. Thank you so much, AVPN, for giving us this platform to addressing water and to giving it a more core place. And I give the word back to Prachi.
Well, thank you, everyone, and thank you, Annalise, and all our participants and the presenters who were here today. We'll close the session because we are running, but do join us for other convenings and join us for any, if you need any other questions, if you have any other questions on the Climate Action Platform, please do get in touch with us. My email address is on the screen.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a good time. Thanks.
thank you.